Hello and welcome. My name is Daniel Stillwell, and I'm the editor of the IFTA e-newsletter. Today we have with us Dr. John Banmen, a leading proponent and writer and trainer on the Satir model for many years. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you.
To start us off, we have viewers from all over the world, and family therapy or systemic therapy looks different in all over the place. So I guess we could start off with what kind of practitioner or clinician do you identify as, and what does that look like in your context?
Well, okay, I need to go back a little into history.
Love it.
I did my doctorate in Rogerian counseling therapy and graduated in 1970 in January. In June 1970, I met Virginia Satir. And I was just blown away. I was just blown away, really, literally. She would ask questions that we weren't allowed to ask in Rogerian psychology. And so I was just fascinated with what she did and how she brought it about. So I became a student of her pretty early, but right after being so ingrained and focused on Rogers. But, you know, the philosophy and the psychology of Rogers and Satir are very similar. It's very humanistic, as they call it. And so it didn't make me that philosophically, psychologically in conflict. It was just another way of bringing people alive and helping them become more fully, as she calls it, more fully human. So I identify, and I have identified with the Satir model the rest of my life so far, and I will assume I will continue to do that for the less few years I might have.
Wonderful. So as you got into the model, you, I guess, got into training as well. Have you taught and supervised the Satir model?
So I would go to her training between 70 and 80. I would go to some of her training around the world. Like I was living in Manitoba, Canada, and I would go to British Columbia to have her work on the coast. I went to Michigan with worked her there in some other place. I don't know the name of it at all. And so I would be in contact. We kind of connected, I would say. No boasting about it. I think she and I really connected at some deeper level than just doing therapy. So I would follow her. And in 1980-81, she started doing a month-long summer training program in first 1 year in Utah and then 9 years in Colorado. And I became a so-called faculty member of hers at that time. So I think for 9 years, I spent my whole summer for a whole month, for 4 weeks, with her on the mountain in Colorado.
Wow.
Mount Crested Butte, Colorado. Yeah. So I had lots of time with her. Then I became member of the board of her organization. So that would give me time to meet with her during the year sometime. Yeah.
Okay. But you have also written, you wrote the book Satir Model, and you've written meditations on some of her work as well. I wonder, where do you see the Satir model today, 50 years after that first encounter?
Yeah, that's a difficult question because it seems like you almost need to take country by country to give a good answer. I think, being critical, the worst place it is in the United States in terms of its influence, impact, and so forth. I think other countries have made much more use of it in terms of it. Like in Korea, South Korea, we have 2 master's program totally geared for Satir.
Wow.
There's nothing like it, kind of. Okay. In China, when we get to talk in China, I'll tell you that we have 73 master's theses written in the last 10 years. Okay. I think we have 3 or 4 in the United States. So it's almost like we need to take it country by country in terms of seeing it. Somewhere it's very, very um, um, popular, and at other places, of course, it hasn't done very much.
Hmm.
And I don't think it has done very much in USA. They've had
Do
so
you,
much competition with others. I don't
right.
think
And
that they're,
obviously in the US, we also have the medical model that is, in some ways taken over uh, volume against maybe the human growth model.
yeah.
How do you see the idea of the human transformation or human growth, or even the iceberg metaphor? How do you see that rooting itself in the Asian countries that it seems to be doing well in?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. The let's take one at a time,
Okay.
or let's China, for instance, because that's where I've been working the last 10 years, and they have it. They like the Satir model in, say, three different levels. One of them is the emphasis on the family.
Mm,
They're really family-based kind of society. So for them to hear more about family and being more inclusive about the family, that has been very, very helpful for them. So they like that part. The other part is that in China, very often when you go to a restaurant, as an example, just an example, you will get the person's number on their front. There's no name, there's just a number. And it's usually a 7-digit number. That's IM 5C5557C. So that kind of thing. Their individuality through the Satir model has been extremely precious. They like
mm,
being identified that they are somebody. They're not just a component of
hmm.
some. So the self part is very very prominent for them. The other one, the third one, is that in China, I can tie it very quickly with qi. Qi meaning energy, right?
Right.
And like Satir talks a lot about life energy, life energy. Life energy to them, it makes a lot of sense. They know about qi. They know about prana in India. So to us, for us to talk about life energy, that there's a deeper sense of energy available to people and that they can manifest, or that we can actually teach them how to manifest that life energy is very appealing. So there is a harmony almost between what they believe, but they can't really say because their political beliefs is on the surface.
Hmm.
And that could like very contradictory kind of thing in terms of that. But at a deeper level, what we say it's a Satir model and what they understand as human nature is very compatible. That's a long answer, but
That was
that's
a
what.
great answer. Yes. And I think that I've heard more people over the last 10 years talk about how some of the spiritual lenses or dimensions of Satir's writing and some of her guidance was kept at bay for various controversial reasons back in the day, and it has become more to the light recently. And it sounds like that's in congruence or in sync with how you're seeing the chi or the energy component.
Yeah, yeah. Well, other people are talking about. I look at the Satir model in 4 domains, and so I will tell you those and then see if that helps with anything. I look at it as a bio, psycho, social, spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
the pattern concept. And so that in terms of therapy, that we need to train people to work on all 4 levels.
Mm.
And with her, she got so criticized at level one time about bringing in so much of the body, the body part. Now everybody talks about the body kind of thing. And then social, I call that social as the family, as the
The
social
relational, yeah.
relational whole thing. That's another big kind of thing. So it seems that to me, and that might be very biased, that Satir model is a pretty inclusive model, with including the bio psychosocial, spiritual aspect of it. So then it seemed like, then what else do we need? And we need a system of change. And so now, how are we going to change? What do we have to change? So then we look at who are we kind of aspect in order for us to be able to change. And therefore, there she came up with this metaphor called the iceberg, that we are mostly underneath the waterline, and we need to change different aspects of it. The other thing that she was a great fan of Krasinski, in 1923, say Science and Sanity, systemic thing. She got her system from Krasinski. She read that before she graduated in high school. So she made me read that very early in the game. You could read this aspect to it. And then I try to have my students read it, and they said, that's a big punishment. That's the biggest punishment you've ever made me suffer through. So she had a systemic kind of aspect of how we experience ourselves. And then how do we tap those changes so that we can have our life energy or chi flow through it. And she called that congruence.
Wonderful. Do you see, as a educator, that you've been able to find new or interesting ways as the world has changed to help people into the Satir model?
I think, I don't know, that sounds too selfish to say yes to that. The fact that people are interested aspect of it. We have a training program in China, as you know, and maybe I can tell you a little more about it. But we just started a new level 1. That's a 15-day training program, inside, in-house, residential, 5 days apart, 5 days at a time, over whatever, 6 months or 9 months, depending on how. We had, and I've been trying to get trainers, local trainers, because our trainers that I have here can't go, because we have a whole cadre of people who've been going there in the last 10 years. We had 100 applicants for this training for trainer a couple of weeks ago. So this is during the COVID. No Westerner, just the local people, and we had 100 applicants. So do I have something new that I'm using? I don't know. I think I'm bringing hope, to the individual, because hope was a strong aspect of it.
Yeah.
Bringing self-esteem to it, that some people still believe in, to that. I don't know.
I've always felt like the Satir model validated the multi-layered existence of people really, really well. And maybe this is a reminder that regardless of our location, our background, or whatever, if we bring that presence, that life energy, people will feel seen and want to heal in those ways.
It's just what I wanted to say to you. Good. You beat me to it. What the therapist brings to the session as a person is so important to me. When we sometimes laugh, or even I laugh at some of the psychoanalysis part, but one of the things psychoanalysis did, each one had to go through their own analysis, and we left that. Somehow we annoyed that. And Satir has been very adamant about that. You have to have your own whatever that nasty word is, together. And so that you are in harmony yourself, and you bring that harmony aspect of it. Actually, I sometimes think she goes right down to that you're bringing love into the situation. That there's some kind of universal love that you bring there, and that connects the client and the therapist in a different energy level. So I think that would be one part of the answer.
Wonderful. Well, is there anything else that you want our viewers to know about you or your work?
Well, I'm on a mission to bring happiness and health and success to 65 million people in China. That's what I'm working on. Now, in China, it's very interesting that Chinese government has three goals. Now, I'm talking to American here, so I better be careful. But I'll tell you, they have three goals: security and prosperity and happiness.
Okay.
Those are their three goals. They feel that happiness is a God-given right. They don't use the word, by the way,
Sure.
but
Inalienable. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In the United States, you have the right to pursue happiness. You can pursue it. You can talk about pursuing it. In China, they don't pursue happiness. It's a God-given right to them. Okay. So here's the government working on security and prosperity and happiness. My program is happy, healthy, and success. And so I'm telling them, and are they telling me that I'm meeting the government's deeper goal?
Wow.
So they like me.
Excellent.
They just like, but there's still the political thing. Gets in there between, and that's not very good. But at the more philosophical, deeper level, they like what I'm saying. They really like what I'm saying.
Well, I appreciate what you've said today, and I'm sure the viewers are going to enjoy your words as well. The first time I heard you was at an IFTA conference 10 years ago, and so it's really nice to spend some time with you today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Dr. John Banmen, thank you so much, and take care.
Thank you.